Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm here to give you a brief rundown because I watched a really interesting video from the Royal Animal Health University, and the gentleman who runs it interviewed Dr. Barbara Royal, who is a world-renowned veterinarian. She's also Oprah's veterinarian, and they talked about GMOs in pet food, so I thought I'd give you the base information, but if you do want to learn more, go to Royal Animal Health University. You can find them on Facebook. They have a website. They have all kinds of really actually accurate information about pet food, anything to do with pets, all of that stuff, health issues, and it's really good information. So when they interviewed her, they were talking about pet food first. And she said that the most important decision you're going to make about your pet, beyond what kind of pet to get and where they're going to play, if they're going to go out and all these things, is what they eat. It is the single most important decision that you make as a pet parent, is what they are going to eat. GMOs were introduced in the late 1996 to early 97, and as a result, there was an increase in allergies, metabolic diseases like Addison's and Cushing's, cancer, and skin conditions. When she has a new client come in, she usually gets I call them end of the road cases, where they've tried a bunch of other things, nothing else has worked. This dog has, dog or cat has 3 different diseases and conditions and is on 5 medications, and the dog's probably 11 or 12, and they don't know what else to do. So her very first step when the animal comes in, obviously other than greeting them and doing an exam, is to change their diet. Now most people would say, well, you don't know that much about the dog's history, you don't know how that would interact with their medications, that kind of thing, but diet is pretty versatile that way. There's very few ways that the diet can interact with medication, but do be careful about that. She noticed, and they usually say 6 to 8 weeks before you notice any improvement with most medications, but she found that 80% had improved by the second visit within only 3 to 4 weeks. And usually it's a lot longer than that. 40% were completely cured by the second visit. So within a month, 40% of them were completely cured and 80% were significantly improved, which is just crazy. I mean, just from changing the diet, if you don't realize how important nutrition and dietary needs are, you should. So do some research on it because it's really important. If you want more statistics about GMOs and things like that, there's a website called petsandgmos.com. They have a lot of statistics there, but you can go look that up. They also noticed with the outbreak of GMOs that there was a very sharp increase in separation anxiety. There actually have been studies that link the behavioral issues and the chemicals like the glycophosphates that are in GMOs. Because glyphosate is a carcinogen, meaning it causes cancer, and it's 40 times higher in pets that eat food that have GMOs. So if your pet is eating a GMO-based kibble, they're going to have very, very high levels of glyphosate, and this can result in very severe issues. Not only does it disrupt the bacterial biome, which includes the mouth, the skin, the fecal system, and the intestines, those are basically your dog's immune system. So if their skin is destroyed and has no immune response, that's the first defense. The external defense. The internal defense is also affected because glyphosate is an antibiotic. So if they're on it for, say, 5 years, their system is going to be so depleted that they can't actually defend themselves from anything. It's also a hormone disruptor. So if your dog isn't neutered yet or spayed, or it is neutered or spayed, then that's going to influence their hormone regulation. It also destroys the immune system, which most dogs get really sick when they're older because their immune system is weaker, but they're noticing all these diseases and conditions in younger pets because of the amount of GMOs in pet food. It's really horrifying to watch. So if your dog or cat is on a GMO-based pet food, you have to detox the system, repair the body, and then rebuild. So what Dr. Barbara Royal suggests is to strengthen the gastrointestinal tract first, because a very large percentage of your pet's immune system is actually in their gut. So if they're absorbing toxic chemicals into their gut, they're going to get very sick, and often it's quite quickly. After you strengthen their gastrointestinal system, you want to build immune support, and she does have a set of supplements and things like that, but you can look into that because I don't do supplement promos on here. In humans, the GMOs cause things like Crohn's disease, chronic diarrhea, itching, infertility, even autism. They found a link between glyphosates, GMOs, and autism. Mostly a lot of chronic issues, things that take years and years to repair simply because the food that you're eating is sprayed with GMOs, or the food is chemically altered to grow bigger, faster, so that they can make more money. But the number one digestive issue is irritable bowel disease. And Dr. Barbara Royal says that IBD is linked to GMOs because it literally destroys the lining in your intestines to the point where everything you eat irritates it because the lining is so weak and there's tears in it and gaps, and the skin isn't absorbing the food that it should be. So all that money you're paying, if you do switch to good food, your pet can't even absorb all of it because of the weakness of their intestines. So they did a little experiment on a farm, and they switched from GMO-laden food, I believe it was for cows or chickens, and switched it to non-GMO food. And then they noticed what happened. After the first selling cycle on the farm, they noticed that they spent 75% less on medication for the animals because they weren't getting diseases and conditions that used to happen all the time. So things like skin sores, abscesses, infections, cancer, all of these things weren't happening anymore to the animals that were being raised for food. And most of you who watch this channel know my feelings about animals raised for food, but this video is not about that, it's about GMOs. But they also noticed that in animals, household pets, where they switched their food from GMO-based food to non-GMO-based food, that their pets were actually happier. And for those pet owners, that's basically all we ask for, is a healthy and happy pet. So if you do or are curious about where your pet food comes from and you don't know, call the company and ask. Because if they can't tell you that their food is non-GMO, then you need to switch your food. Because that would be like us eating chemically laden French fries from McDonald's every single day. And I know I use that example when I talk about kibble in general, but this food is not natural, and we definitely should not be eating it. So that is the gist of what she said in her interview with RAHU. If you have any questions, feel free to look it up. It was, I think, about 30 to 40 minutes. If you want to watch it yourself, those are just the highlights that I wrote down. But do be wary of what you eat. I know with the trends in human nutrition going from anything you can find at the grocery store to organic, locally based, non-GMO foods, that people are making the switch for their pets too, and that makes me really happy. But do be aware of where your pet's food comes from as well, because it is really important. I've had to switch Kai's food probably 5 times, and she's not even 4 yet, so do be wary of that. That's all I have to say about GMOs. If you have any questions, feel free to message me as usual. Next week, we're talking about something fun. I have it written down, but have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next Tuesday.